All right. So, like Ethan was saying up in his earlier three slides, Dan Cooper, aka DB Cooper, his alias name, bought a one-way ticket to Seattle, Washington. This was on Northwest Orient Airlines. So he bought the ticket in Portland, Oregon, and then his one-way flight was to Seattle, Washington in cash. This occurred on the in the afternoon of November 24th of 1971. Like Ethan was saying earlier, also, the 1970s were like the prime time for hijacking because one, security wasn't really emphasized as much as it is today post 9/11. Back then, you could show up to the airport with your bags and go right to the gate. I mean, there's a little bit of security, but back then, you go through security, scan your bags or whatever, and then you go to the gate. But like today, you've got the x-ray scanners, you've got metal detectors, you've got bag searches, you've got police dogs, you've got the whole nine yards. So as a result of the 1970s and 1980s and ultimately 9/11, security has greatly advanced in that area. So getting back to the where, when, and why and how of DB Cooper's hijacking, this was such a famous incident that it was just until 2016 that the FBI decided to suspend the investigation on this guy because they had found a little bit of evidence, but overall they had not found enough prominent evidence to figure out where this guy is, if he actually survived, if he died, what all actually happened. Um, there's even a documentary on HBO about the disappearance of this guy. So I thought that was a pretty cool fun fact. Um, Getting back to the where and why. Um, so the plane took off out of Oregon, headed to Washington, and that plane landed safely. After, as Greg's going to mention, talking about how the attack was actually carried out, that plane landed safely in Seattle, and then Cooper ordered the plane to refuel, take off again with parachutes, take off again, and then he also requested four parachutes and $200,000 in $20 bills, and he wanted the pilots to take him to Mexico City, Mexico. So again, that's another saying of how weak security was back then. Because in today, if you hijacked a plane and it landed, you probably would not get off of that plane alive, or if you did, you'd be going to jail. But like DB Cooper did, the plane landed in Seattle, refueled, had the pilots on board, took off again, had the parachutes, had the money, and everything was a-okay for DB Cooper at this time. So after the plane took off, somewhere in between Seattle and I think Reno, Nevada, he opened up the back door, jumped out, and he disappeared off the face of the earth. So that is one thing that the FBI agents are still concerned about. They found traces of his money because it matched the serial numbers to the money that was missing. They found a parachute, but they haven't actually found this guy. I think they not hired, interviewed like 250 witnesses or potential witnesses, and they narrowed it down to about 24, and they still have no really accurate recollection of what this guy actually looked like. Um, in the PowerPoint here, I posted a picture of the ticket that Dan Cooper bought. Um, Again, it's just showing you how nonchalant and how easy it is for, someone to buy a plane ticket back then and, just go and get on the airplane. So that was one thing that resulted from, I guess, the 1970 hijacking was advancements in security and an overall better understanding of terrorists and their motives for hijacking airplanes.